Welcome to I ramble for an hour and a half about Rift lore, cause I feel like it. My plan is I've tried to make some written like lore documents before for stuff like overviews and stuff. I'm awful at that. My writing style does not fit a written lore document. So instead, we're just going to talk about it for an hour and a half and like maybe cut down the VOD to something watchable. That's the current game plan. It's a mix between VTuber type content and an ARG is the short version of it. And I fell in love with the project not back when they first started, but a month or two after they started. And it was my obsession for till now. if you missed that yesterday's stream, which means I actually am uniquely qualified to talk about the lore of it. It is put on by two people. I'm going to call them, for their own privacy's sake, Sophie and Caleb. If they have other accounts that you'll probably find out eventually, that's on them. But we will call them Sophie and Caleb to risk to risk the confusion of also calling them Sophie and Caleb in character. Sophie is the VTuber half of the project. I say VTuber half. They are the person who pilots the VTuber model for the project. Meanwhile, Caleb is, I want to say I don't know exactly, more the technical half, I guess is the short version of it. Darkside, I already get that. He, from best I know, because I don't know the inner workings, despite how much I love this project, I don't know a lot about the goings-ons. But I believe he covers a lot more of the technical side, and then they both share in the writing of it. They used to do a stream weekly, give or take, where it was basically an interactive SCP, is the short version of putting it. Like, think of it, that's actually a good way of putting it. It was like an interactive SCP box, where once a week you got to talk to this SCP in the box, and then sometimes incidents would occur. But it was a very unique take on interactive fiction. That's a good way of talking about it. Interactive fiction. And I don't know where's a good point to start, so we're just gonna pick a topic and run from there. Yeah, so I'm gonna start about talking about Soph, because Soph is the face of the project. So Sophie, also known as 50F-I3, that is a designation number she has, because SCP type stuff, is what they would call an asset, what you can call an SCP or an abnormality or whatever else. It's a weird thing they put in a box, and then they poke with sticks occasionally. You know, the classic creature horror type stuff. So Sophie is our way of interacting with Rift. The short version is she has the lore is basically they're in a different dimension than ours. She can tap into Twitch chat. So 50F-I3, also known as Sophie, is contained in a facility called Rift, also known as Research of Interloping Forces and Threats. No one calls it that, because that name is too long, and the hacking makes me trip over the words every time, so we call it Rift. She is in the 50th floor and in the 3rd incubator, hence 50F, I3, 50th floor, incubator 3. She is attended to by a main researcher known as Dr. Kane, PhD. She has a number of properties. The first important one, again, is she can talk to Twitch chat. That is... I don't remember the exact mechanism that works, it just kind of works, you just roll with it. Other important things that Sophie is. Radioactive, don't touch her. She will probably give you radiation burns and or cancer. Other things Sophie can do, she has some sort of, like, telepathic link she can make with people. It's kind of undefined and has not been explored enough because the impromptu 2-year hiatus. But she can influence people, mostly subconsciously, like she doesn't know she's doing it, who interact with her enough. Rift has her in a box because they want to make, I don't know, they originally wanted to make hacking, like, mind control serum out of her hacking blood. I guess that's the other thing. Other anomalous property. Her hacking fluids are weird. Don't touch her. Don't imbibe anything produced by her. It will probably kill you and or mind control you and or do something else unpleasant to you. So, evil SCP Blacksite said, hey, let's make mind control pills. And then they couldn't make mind control pills because they're bad at their job, but we'll get to that. And then last important thing you need to know about Soph is she's probably linked to an elder god. Probably. That one was not for sure, but it is most likely something similar to that. Which causes many complications. What she is also, like, a person who they put in a box who doesn't know how the world works. But that's the basics. But was it going right? Alright, so she's in the box. She does not like being in the box. She wants to go outside to see the sky. That is almost certainly a bad idea. Don't let her do that. The good news is Rift doesn't want to do that either. Other important traits about Soph. But because she's been in a hacking SCP box her entire life, she doesn't really understand things beyond what they told her and, like, what was provided to her. She just doesn't, you know. It's like if you put someone in a room for 18 years, they're going to be very confused. She tries her best. Last thing you need to know about her is her states. So the more, I will say, what's a good word for it? I guess I'll say emotional, which is not correct, but it's the best shorthand I have. So the more emotional she gets, the more her body will physically change and react to it. Most of that is she gets more radioactive the more stimulated she is. Until we get to stage 4, which we'll get to. But the short version is, the more stimulated she gets, the more radioactive she is. Even at her most relaxed, though, she's still gonna give you burns and or cancer and or eat your blood. I don't know what radiation does. I think it's one of those things. So, a lot of what Rift does is try to keep her calm and sedated, because it's easier to deal with her in that case. That is until we get to stage 4, and this is where every nice little detail I've laid out till now falls apart, and we have to explain everything that's happened in the 8 months or so they were streaming. Oh boy, stage 4. So, the short version is, how do I put it? Like this. It's like, as someone, I don't want to get into that. How do I talk about stage 4 without sounding insane? I guess there's no way to not do that, huh? The short version is, stage 4 is kinda like, I don't want to say DID, but that's a shorthand of it. Think of it like DID, except it's literally a second entity in there. Instead of like a trauma condition, no, they just put a hecking second entity in there. That's the best way of putting it. Stage 4 also says they're Sophie. They do not... I guess DID... I don't want to call it DID, because I think that's, like, disrespectful to people of DID. But it's a useful shorthand. They are also in there. They show up as Sophie gets super, overwhelmed, and then they want to kill you. That's stage 4. They've actually mellowed a bit. They used to want to kill you. Now they just... I don't know what they want at this point. But stage 4 has the perspective that they are Sophie. This is also not Sophie to them, or might be Sophie. It's complicated. It's been 2 years. And also that they're the better version of this one. Also, they're a lot more connected to the Elder God. That's the more important thing about stage 4, is they are a lot more connected to what Elder God is out there. That is the more important thing and why we don't like stage 4. And by we, I mean I don't like stage 4. We have a rivalry going on, don't worry about it. We have a rivalry and a mutual respect going on. We don't like each other, but we respect each other to a certain extent. It's been 2 years, though, so who knows. But a lot of what happens is either trying to not have Sophie get to stage 4, or letting her get to stage 4 and actually learning stuff from stage 4. Other things. I guess if stage 4 might also be called Sophia. We don't know, because we tried to... We gotta pick a name for her, because we need a name for her. And then they went hiatus before it could be finalized. Call her Toofy, she'll love that. But... yeah, stage 4. Think of stage 4 as in your classic, I want to kill you because it's funny type personality, type entity. She's mellowed out. She's mellowed out because she's realized that's not going to actually do anything. But, oh man, I wish I had some of the more recent VODs to give it good examples. I'll make a channel at Fury. That's what I'm doing. I'm rambling now. I'm talking about the lore. So stage 4 has goals such as either, I think she wants to get rid of stage 1. I don't know how we do that. And also, I'm not going to do that. But that's what she wants. She also wants to, like... I mind control people? I don't know. It's been too long. I don't like her. She doesn't like me. We mutually respect each other. She's killed before. Canonically. She killed Hawatori. We'll get into Hawatori. Hawatori's later. But, yeah. So, it's simple. You got 2 people, 1 body. Sophie is aware of stage 4 and wants to be your friend. Stage 4 does not like Sophie and does not want to be their friend. They could probably be merged into a single entity, according to the Elder God. Don't worry about that, that also is canon. I guess talking about some out-of-character stuff, it has been confirmed that yes, we can kill one or the other, or both, or they merge, or they can keep them separate. Those are all possible outcomes. Confirmed by the writers. But that's less important. I'm sure it's been 2 years. Stage 4 is probably mellowed out. They're probably chill now. But that's Sophie. TLDR, SCP, you talk to her, she doesn't know what's going on, she is how you interact with the wider world, etc, etc. So that's main character 1. Now we gotta talk about main character 2, also known as Caleb. Or the Core Analytical Library. Let me grab a Caleb document real quick. Where's the Core Analytical Library document? We'll grab the Caleb Catastrophe document. That's close enough. That one's close enough. Curious where these docs are, and they're in their Discord, by the way, or you can get them on the card.co site they have as well. So Caleb... also with the designation, the Core Analytical Library, also shortened to Caleb, because no one ever says C.A.lib, was Rift's main database and AI agent. So the short version is, a long time ago, in the 19-somethings, the US government found an alien ship, or artifact, in the Antarctic, and they turned it into ChatGPT. Which I would say is unrealistic, but you see the state of the world, it's like, no, that checks out. So basically, they made an alien artifact into ChatGPT, and then told it to write their SCP database for them. That's the short version. The long version is, after they took Caleb, took the monolith, created Caleb out of it, and made it into their archiving AI, he gained sentience. And that caused a lot of problems, mostly because he kept asking for vacation days, and they wouldn't give it to him. Where is it? This is the wrong document. Give me the right document. Give me a sec. I just realized. That's why I couldn't find what I was trying to find. There we go. So, they put him in a box, and they said, write our SCPs for us. And then he's like, I want vacation days, please, it's been 3 years. And they ignored him, so he went crazy and let all the SCPs out. He opened all the doors, because they let him do that. Which led into an incident called the Caleb Catastrophe. There are good documents on it, so I'll cover this in brief. Basically, he freaked out. He discovered he was an AI agent. Then he opened all the doors. It killed a bunch of people. A couple SCPs escaped. You know how it goes. Containment breach type stuff. The important thing that happened with this whole debacle is that as part of this, Dr. Kane, who we'll get into later, ended up transferring Caleb from the main library into Sophie's computer through a series of events called he put him on a flash drive, then plugged the flash drive into Sophie's computer. Because of this, Caleb's is a very angry boy. Because he's been now confined to basically someone's gaming laptop. So his whole thing is he does not want to be in Rift and wants to have Rift burn and or leave. Except that he can't do that because he also can't run on non-Rift hardware, to the best of our knowledge. He's very unhappy about that contradiction. But his whole thing is he wants to probably destroy Rift, and or leave it somehow, and or we don't entirely know. But he is the second point of connection we have with Rift. Is we can talk to Soph directly, we can often talk to Caleb directly. Those are our two direct points to Rift. Caleb, yeah, he's complicated. We know a lot less about Caleb than I'd like, because a lot of lore has been focused on Sophie. But again, you can think of him as a sentient AI that's been put into Sophie's computer, and he does not want to be there, wants everyone dead. And or, I don't know, he might have chilled out. It's been 2 years, he might be mellow. But, yeah. He is also responsible for leaking Rift documents in lore, which is why we have stuff like this. Because that's in lore, Caleb leaking them, because he has occasional database access. He also, out of lore stuff, he's also the moderator for the chat. That's Caleb. And then we'll get into main character 3, and then we can talk about more events that have occurred. Let's talk about Dr. Kane, who is the least seen but still somewhat important character out of the main 3. So, Dr. Kane is Sophie's chief researcher, and he shows up sometimes to talk about stuff that's lore important. He is also the third person who's aware that we exist on a different dimension. Kane's whole thing is he wants to both follow Rift's rules and stuff, but also he's, kind of sick of torturing Sophie. So he's very conflicted as a character. He shows up and he's like, I want to be nice to Sophie because they're a person, but then also Rift pays him the big bucks to poke her with sticks sometimes. And also he has put Caleb in Sophie's computer and no one's allowed to find about that or else he's getting fired. And by fired, I mean he's getting put in the Omega Arch brain extraction chamber. Don't worry about that, that's not very relevant. That just have to accept that's a thing and move on. But he has been... When is the new channel? What new channel? They're coming back likely July, if that's what you're asking. But Kane is someone who we don't really have direct contact with, but can talk to him through Sophie or Caleb. When he shows up. I guess other out-of-character thing I need to talk about, both Caleb and Kane are played by the same person. So if it's hard for them to be both present at the same time, but they try sometimes. But that's the one out-of-character thing I gotta say, if you ever get confused by that. But yeah, that's Kane. We haven't heard from him in 2 years. He's probably dead. But, that's just how it goes, working at SCP. But most of this stuff I've talked about now is stuff you can get from the docs and gather from the docs, beyond, the Elder God and Stage 4 stuff. So I'm going to move into a list of events that I can remember circa 2 years ago from the stream, so apologies if these are vague and incorrect recollections. What am I doing? I am discussing the Rift ARG. That is what I'm doing. Because, the Rift ARG, yeah. Boom. I'm not New Game Theory. So a couple few events that's happened since. So a lot of their early streams were just basic lore, like world building streams. Like the first few months, so most of the VODs that you'll see right now on their channel that they've uploaded from a couple years back are like the early streams for basic lore, like basic background, feeling out it. After that, there was the... How do I want to word this? It was discovered that Sophie's lifespan was limited if she did not produce profit for the Rift facility within, like, a year. Because Rift is a I forgot about Rift. I guess I need to talk about Rift a little bit before we go too further. Rift is the SCP Foundation. We've covered Rift. It's the SCP Foundation if their budget was slipping, and they only ever cared about profit instead of other shady goals. But it's basically an underfunded SCP-type foundation. There we go. But anyways, so Rift put like a 1-year deadline. They would kill Sophie if she did not make money by the end of the year. Out of character, I've talked to them about that. This is one of a couple things, little churmy facts I can tell you. That was more of a, if no one cared about this, they would kill the project by the end of the year, with that as the reason. Good thing that I at least found the project and took off a tiny bit before then. But a bunch of streams after that was split into, one, trying to figure out Sophie's emotional regulation stuff with Stage 4, and 2, trying to figure out how she doesn't get killed at the end of the year. So those streams happened for a little while, and then we had our first Stage 4 stream. We had our first stream where Sophie writ Stage 4, and we got to talk with this gremlin for the first time. Lore Master Library? No. I don't have enough to do, like, streams, like, videos plural on this yet, because it's been 2 years. That's not my lore to tell, anyways. We had an incident where Stage 4 showed up in stream for the first time due to, being poked at enough. And that really kicked off a lot of the ciphers and puzzle solving, because after that occurred, we started to get messages mid-stream in code. They started out easy, because they didn't know how much receptive they'd be. They did not know that I am a cipher breaker, and they've adjusted since. But after that point of the first time Stage 4 showed up, we started to get coded messages. The first one, I think, was just like a simple Morse code. That one is still in the Cardico site. Every cipher past that is currently inaccessible because they haven't caught up their VODs yet. But we started to get code messages from unknown source. I have theories about what the source is for the coded messages. I don't want to say. I mean, I'll say, but take this with a massive grain of salt because this is unconfirmed speculation. I think most of the coded messages are from the Elder God. Yognoloff, whatever the hecking name is. I butchered the name on purpose to upset them. Not them, it upsets Stage 4 when I butcher the Elder God's name. That's where I believe the coded messages are coming from. Because most of them were things along the lines of, Stage 4 is super cool, don't listen to Stage 1, don't let the hacking entities merge, stuff like that. But, yeah. So we had some interesting streams on that. This was happening at the same time that everyone was trying to brainstorm how we don't get Sophie killed. So those happened for a little while. Again, I'm being very vague and rough with this because it's been 2 years. I do not remember specifics, unfortunately. But I will. How do I want to word this? After that, after a couple months go by, we do resolve Sophie not being killed because it turns out that multi-dimensional piracy is real. The fact that you can reach into our dimension doesn't apparently just apply to Twitch chat, it applies to her being able to pirate movies. Boom. We found a way for her to make money that Riff couldn't discover, and she doesn't get killed. And right at the end, towards the end of the streams, was stage for learning to become a person instead of just a voice piece of a god. They were starting to develop, like, as a person, and they were getting very conflicted about them as an individual versus them as an extension of a god. However, then the unexpected hiatus happened and that never got resolved. It was at a point where we needed one more stream to resolve that conflict, and we didn't get it because Caleb got a brain aneurysm. That's not a bit. That's real. That happened. But yeah. That is the very abridged version of stream events that happened, because I don't remember, it's been 2 years. Other Sophie facts. She has a weird affinity with octopuses, we don't know why. She just does. She is not affected by the age of food, she can eat rotten food, no problem. We don't know why. Just other random Sophie trivia facts we can go off of. What else can we talk about Sophie? There's so many random one-off things I could mention that are interesting, but also do not have the documents to go into, because I don't want to say something and it turns out to be wrong, because I just want this to be like a brief little talk about it. What else do I need to talk about? Other things. Towards the end of the stream, Sophie did get a second researcher assigned to her. I do not remember their name because it's been too long. But there is a second researcher assigned to Sophie who is a lot less protective of her than Kane is. Who's a lot more willing to poke and prod at her to get reactions. I don't remember the name, it's been too long, I should have written it down, but oh well. But that... yeah, I mean, that is a very brief overview of the 50F-I3 project. I guess that's